Welcome to Listworthy's recap of the 1996 movie The Craft. In preparation for the sequel that is set to be released by Blumhouse Productions on October 28th, I thought I'd revisit the original movie. The movie follows Sarah Bailey, a troubled teenager who has just moved from San Francisco to Los Angeles with her father and stepmother. On her first day of school, during French class, she is treated rudely by some boys, but she draws the attention of a girl named Bonnie Hyper, who witnesses her levitating a pencil. At the first chance she gets, Bonnie immediately tells her friends Nancy Downs and Rochelle Zimmerman about what she saw and is convinced that Sarah is the right girl to complete their coven as the fourth. Nancy and Rochelle are not convinced, and when Sarah approaches them, hoping to join their lab group, they are cold to her, so she just ends up sitting alone. In between classes, Sarah is approached by Chris Hooker, the school football star and heartthrob, who apologizes for his friend's behavior during French class and warns her to stay away from Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle, who are rumored to be witches. He calls Nancy a major slut and tells Sarah that Bonnie is covered in scars, but says nothing about Rochelle. Chris invites Sarah to come watch him during football practice, but she doesn't commit to showing up. However, after school, she goes to watch him from a hidden spot. Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle approach Sarah and apologize for their behavior before inviting her to hang out with them. While on their way to a witch shop, the girls notice the scars on Sarah's wrists, and she reveals that she tried to kill herself some time back. When they get to the witch shop, it is evident that Bonnie, Nancy, and Rochelle are a bit of a bad crowd, as they prefer to steal what they want from the shop instead of paying for it. Good girl Sarah, on the other hand, is not comfortable with shoplifting and decides to pay for the book Bonnie encouraged her to steal. The shopkeeper tells Sarah that she is not like her light-fingered friends, and when she notices a ring Sarah is wearing, she rightly guesses that it belonged to Sarah's mother and suggests to Sarah that maybe she is a natural witch. Later, as the girls pass through a bad part of town, Sarah is harassed by a vagrant with a snake, and almost immediately he is hit by a car, and the girls believe that together they willed it to happen. The girls are then convinced beyond all doubt that Sarah is meant to be the fourth member of their coven. The three girls tell Sarah about Manon, a deity they worship, and Sarah tells them about all the weird stuff that sometimes happen to her.
I'll want it just to be quiet, and I'll wish for it, and then I'll go deaf for 3 days straight.
The girls try to talk Sarah into participating in a ritual called Invoking the Spirit, but she gets creeped out and leaves. After going on a date with Chris Hooker, Sarah is upset to find out that he has spread a rumor at their school that they had sex and she was terrible in bed. When Sarah confronts him, he treats her disrespectfully in front of his a-hole friends. After this, we get a glimpse into each of the girls' lives. Rochelle, who is on the swim team, is subjected to racist bullying by a group of her white teammates led by popular girl Laura.
Why are you doing this to me, Laura? Do you think you're funny?
You really want to know why?
Yes, I really want to know why.
Because I don't like Negroids.
Bonnie, who bears burn scars from an auto accident, has to endure an extremely painful experimental procedure in the hopes of removing her scars. And finally, we get a glimpse into Nancy and Sarah's lives. Nancy lives in a run-down trailer with her mother and abusive stepfather and has to not only endure a leaking roof, but their constant loud arguments as well. Sarah is shown to still be haunted by the day she tried to kill herself. The girls invite Sarah to a field trip in a forest, and once there, they officially induct her into their coven. Each girl then takes a turn casting a spell. Rochelle asks for the power to not hate those who hate her. Sarah casts a love spell on Chris Hooker. Bonnie casts a spell to be beautiful both inside and out, and finally Nancy, after a slight second of hesitation, casts a spell to take in all the power of Manon. After this, butterflies appear and start to swirl all around the girls, presumably a sign of Manon's presence. The first spell to work is Sarah's love spell. During class, Chris Hooker is suddenly enthroned by her. After class, he apologizes for his previous bad behavior and starts to follow her around like a puppy and obeying all that she tells him to do, much to his friend's confusion. During a sleepover, the girls play the game light as a feather, stiff as a board, where they try to lift Rochelle with only 2 fingers, and they successfully manage to levitate her off the floor. In the days that follow, Sarah steals a sample of hair from Rochelle's racist bully Laura and helps her cast a revenge spell on the blonde girl as retaliation for making fun of Rochelle's curly hair. The next day, Laura's hair starts to fall off. Bonnie casts another spell to get rid of the scars on her back, and a few days later during a doctor's visit, her scars peel off and she is left with perfect skin. When she goes back to school, she is more happy and confident. At home, Nancy causes her stepfather to have a heart attack and die. This enables Nancy and her mother to cash in a life insurance policy he had and move out of their trailer and into a luxurious high-rise apartment. Nancy becomes greedy for power and encourages the others to join her in a ritual called Invocation of the Spirit. On completion of the spell, she is struck by lightning. The following morning, Bonnie, Rochelle, and Sarah see Nancy walking on water, and several sharks are beached. Sarah is alarmed by these events and tries to convince the other 3 girls not to perform any more rituals, but none of them listen to her. After the Invocation of the Spirit ritual, Nancy lacks empathy and begins taking risks with her life and those of others. The spells that the girls cast soon lead to negative consequences. Bonnie becomes aggressively narcissistic, and Rochelle discovers that her revenge spell has left Laura bored and traumatized when she finds her sobbing hysterically in the showers. Chris becomes more obsessive in his love for Sarah. When she asks Lyrio, the lady in the witch shop, how to undo the love spell, she unfortunately finds out that love spells cannot be undone and should be allowed to run their course. Feeling lonely after her friends become hostile, Sarah agrees to go out with Chris again despite his obsessiveness. While on the date, Chris attempts to rape Sarah when she rejects his continued advances. She manages to escape him and runs to her friends for solace. The Positive Retaliation, Nancy uses a glamour spell to make herself look like Sarah and tries to fool Chris into having sex with her at a party. She is interrupted by the real Sarah, who tells her to leave with her, but it becomes obvious that Nancy has unrequited feelings for Chris, and the pair are revealed to have been previously romantically involved. The shocked Chris says to Nancy that she must be jealous of what he has with Sarah. His words anger Nancy, who uses her powers to kill Chris by hurling him out of a window. Disturbed by Chris's death, Sarah performs a binding spell to strip Nancy of her magic and prevent her from doing any more harm. But it doesn't work, and the coven turns on Sarah. Now that they are powerful, they no longer need her to be their 4th member and are even willing to kill her. At night, as she is sleeping, they invade Sarah's dreams and torment her relentlessly. At school, they mock and threaten her. Scared and feeling powerless, Sarah runs back to Lyrio, the lady in the witch shop, and pours her heart out to her. During their conversation, Lyrio helps Sarah realize that her dead biological mother was a witch and tells her she must invoke the spirit again in order to defeat her friends turned enemies. The two try to invoke the spirit together, but are unable to finish the ritual because Sarah runs away in fright when Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle create the illusion of an explosion in the witch shop. When she gets home, they use their powers of illusion to make Sarah believe that her father and stepmother have been killed in a plane crash, then torment her with visions of swarms of snakes, insects, and rats. They try to induce her to commit suicide, and Nancy cuts Sarah's wrists herself. Although she is initially terrified, Sarah successfully invokes the spirit and is able to heal her slit wrists and fight back. She scares Bonnie and Rochelle off by showing glamours of Bonnie with her face scarred and Rochelle losing her hair like Laura, and then finally she binds Nancy's magic, preventing her from causing harm forever.
I bind you, Nancy, from doing harm against other people, harm against yourself. Wait, I bind you, Nancy, from doing harm against other people and harm against yourself.
Sometime later, Bonnie and Rochelle, finding their powers gone, visit Sarah to attempt reconciliation with her, only to find that Sarah wants nothing more to do with them, and learning that Manon had taken away their powers after they abused them. Bonnie and Rochelle scornfully mutter that Sarah must have lost her powers too. To scare them off, Sarah invokes lightning, which strikes a tree branch that nearly falls on them. Sarah warns them to be careful not to end up like Nancy, who is shown to be committed to a psychiatric hospital, stripped of her powers and strapped to her bed to prevent her from injuring herself, as she desperately insists she can fly. And that, in a nutshell, is what happens in The Craft. When this movie was released way back in 1996, it became a surprise hit, despite the mixed reviews it got from critics, and has since gained a cult following. I personally give it a respectable watchability rating of 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please hit that subscribe button and check out some of my other content.